So today I will begin with the new chapter, that is molecular basis of inheritance. Okay. What is genetic material? Substance that stores biological information in coded form and transfer it to the next generation. And causes its expression in the offspring can be defined as a genetic material. So genetic material simply means the substance that stores the biological information in coded form and which transfer and that get transferred into next generation, and it is expressed in the offspring. Okay, so this is the basic definition of genetic material. What are the features of genetic material? The basic features, essential features which define or which are essential to be termed as genetic material are: firstly, it should be present in every cell of the body. Okay. Secondly, it should be able to duplicate itself. Sound is not clear. Hello, is the sound clear now? Okay. So the basic features of genetic material. Firstly, I discussed what is a genetic material. The material that is able to store the information in coded form and which is able to transmit that information to the next generation is known as genetic material. So now we are learning about the features of genetic material. Firstly, it should be present in every cell of the body. Secondly, it should be able to duplicate itself. Thirdly, it must be able to undergo mutation, because once it undergoes mutation, it can give rise to variation, and variation is very much important for an organism. Okay, so it must be able to undergo mutation. And the fourth point is it must be able to store the biological information in coded form. So these are the 4 points that defines the feature of genetic material. Firstly, it should be present in every cell. Secondly, it should be able to duplicate itself. Thirdly, it must be able to undergo mutation. And fourthly, it must be able to store the biological information in coded form. Okay. Then the scientists Sutton and Boveri, which we have studied in chromosomal theory of inheritance. Sutton and Boveri in 1902, they proposed that genetic information, simply proposed that genetic information is passed between generations through chromosomes. Okay, so after all these features features of genetic material have been discussed, Sutton and Boveri in 1902, they just simply told that genetic information is passed between generations through chromosomes. And we know that chromosomes consist of protein plus DNA. Okay, so chromosomes consist of protein plus DNA. So there was a dilemma between what is the genetic material, either protein or DNA. Okay, so there was a dilemma between what is the genetic material, protein or DNA. Then the points will come for protein. Why protein is not the genetic material, or what are the features protein does not fulfill of genetic material, and what are the features that DNA fulfill being a genetic material. So for protein we can say the following points. It includes the features. Very first time protein was thought to be the genetic material earlier. Okay, protein was thought to be genetic material, and the points are, these are macromolecules and show large variation. Variety is found. Okay. Secondly, they exhibit specificity of function. Thirdly, the third point in which protein does not fulfill the criteria of genetic material is that no duplication no mechanism of duplication is found, and we have already seen in the features that of genetic material that it should be able to duplicate. So this is the point by which it contradicts the feature of genetic material, because there is no mechanism of duplication in protein. So this is the point by which it contradicts. Okay, so coming to protein, most abundant protein in the biosphere is, anyone? Rubisco. Most abundant protein in animals is collagen and Most abundant protein in plants is cellulose. Okay, so these are the most abundant protein in whole biosphere is Rubisco, which is an enzyme. Most abundant protein in animal is collagen, in plants it is cellulose. So proteins are not able to duplicate itself, there is no mechanism of duplication, so it does not fulfill the feature of genetic material. So coming to DNA, are all the features of genetic material available in DNA? And the answer is yes, all the features of genetic material are available in DNA. Firstly, all somatic cells of our body consist of same amount of DNA. Okay, so all the somatic cells of our body consist of same amount of DNA. Secondly, variation, it shows infinite variety. Thirdly, it duplicates the genetic information. Whatever genetic information is present within it, it can duplicate. So it fulfills that it can duplicate itself. Fourthly, its copies are transferred to the next generation. Okay. It develops mutation. So these are the points which fulfill. From these points we can say that DNA is the genetic material because it fulfills all the features of genetic material. Okay. So, and later we will see various experiments. In our next class we will discuss the various experiments through which it was confirmed that DNA is the genetic material. This class is very basic because you have to know about the basic things now. If the basic things na jana, you can begin with a chapter. Okay. So, from this point we can say that DNA fulfill all the features which we need to be which are needed to fulfill the genetic material criteria. Okay. So now, who discovered DNA? Who discovered nucleic acids? So nucleic acids were discovered by was first isolated by Frederick Michener in 1869 from the nuclei of pus cells, which simply means WBC. Okay, so Frederick Michener was the first scientist to which first isolate nucleic acid from the pus cells, that is WBC. He named them as nuclein. Why it is named as nuclein? Because it was derived from the nucleus. So he named it as nuclein. Okay. Then next, Altman. Altman came in 1889 and he renamed it as nucleic acid because of the acidic nature, because of its acidic property. So this is all you need to know. About the first isolation of nucleic acid was done by Friedrich Mechner in year 1869 in the nuclei of pus cells, that is WBC, and he named it nuclein because it was found in the nucleus. Okay. Altman in 1889 he renamed the nuclein. Initially nuclein नाम आसिल, nuclein to nucleic acid नाम दिसे because of its acidic nature. So this is all about the first isolation and discovery of the nucleic acids. What are the occurrence? In prokaryotes and eukaryotes, you will find slight difference. You are already studying all these things from class 8 onwards, I guess. I am brushing up your knowledge. So in prokaryotes, the genetic material is circular and embedded in cytoplasm. Okay. Whereas in eukaryotes you will find linear, mainly confined to nucleus. In prokaryotes there is no well-defined nuclear region, so it is embedded in the cytoplasm. Whereas in eukaryotes you find a well-defined nuclear region, so in eukaryotes the genetic material is linear and mainly confined to the nucleus. The region is also known as nucleoid in case of the region in which the genetic material is found is known as nucleoid because it do not have a well developed nuclear membrane, so it is just scattered around. Okay. So in prokaryotes there is no well defined nuclear region. This is the cell, there is no well defined nuclear region. Okay. So the genetic material will be just scattered all around the cytoplasm and this region is known as nucleoid. Whereas in eukaryotes we have the cell, we have a well defined nucleus. Inside the nucleus we will find the genetic material. Okay. So it is mainly linear and it is found in the nuclear region. Second point is, which I already mentioned, it is not bound by nuclear membrane, whereas it will be bound by nuclear membrane. Thirdly, histone proteins are absent in case of prokaryotes, whereas in eukaryotes histone proteins will be present. When we will study about the structure of DNA, we will know about it in details. Fourthly, many prokaryotes have extra chromosomal, except the chromosome, there are some extra chromosomal circular DNA segments which are called as plastids. Plastids point is very important. बहुत question है plastids पर. Okay. Extra chromosomal. Keep in mind they are extra chromosomal circular DNA segments. So this is a very important feature which is present in the prokaryotes, that is extra chromosomal circular DNA segments called plastids are present. Okay, and plastid point to बहुत बेसी important হয়. আমি upcoming lectures बिलाकर plastids ऊपर details पाम. Just keep in mind plastids are extra chromosomal circular DNA segments. Okay. In eukaryotes you can find small quantity of DNA. Sorry, this is plasmids, not plastids. Okay, this plasmids. Plastids is something different. Small quantity of DNA is present in mitochondria plus plastid. The two cell organelles which have their own genetic material are mitochondria and plastids. This question is often asked. The two cell organelles having their own genetic material are mitochondria and plastids. Okay, don't be confused between plasmid and plastids. Plasmids are the extra chromosomal circular DNA segments. Okay, plastid is a cell organelle which consists of genetic material. Whenever I am going through any topic, after the lecture go through the, just go and solve the fingertips, NCERT fingertips by MTG publication. Okay. সেইটো কৰিলে বহুত কনসেপ্ট বিলাক সলভ হৈ যায় আৰু এনসিআরটি খিনি গুটেখিনি ক্লিয়াৰ হৈ যায়. So what is the quantity of DNA? Quantity of DNA constant in all the cells of a species. Haploid cellot ki hoy thake? So constant in all the cells of a species. DNA content gets double before cell division. Okay. So they are constant in all the cells of the species and it gets double before the cell division. In haploid cells, they are, or in gametes, half of the amount of DNA is present. Okay. So this is all about the quantity of DNA. They are constant in all the cells of a species. DNA content gets double before the cell division, and in gametes they are always half. So gametes are always haploid in nature. Now we will study about the length of DNA. How long is the DNA? So DNA is basically a polymer of deoxynucleotides. What are nucleotides? Nucleotides simply consist of a phosphate group, a sugar moiety, and a nitrogenous base. Clear? So, nucleotide simply means a phosphate group plus a sugar moiety plus a nitrogenous base. A chain of nucleotides, a chain of deoxynucleotides will form the DNA. What is nucleoside? Whenever the phosphate group is absent, it will give rise to nucleoside. Clear? So nucleotides is clear, it consists of phosphate. Now we will discuss in details about the structure. Okay, so it simply consists a chain of deoxynucleotides. Deoxynucleotide consists of a single nucleotide consists of one phosphate group, one sugar group, one sugar moiety and one nitrogenous base. And length of nucleotide is defined as the number of nucleotides present or pair of nucleotides present. So, length of DNA is usually defined as the number of nucleotides or pair of nucleotides present in it. And every organism has a characteristic length of DNA which provides a specific sob species hote eta individual ki thake characteristic length of DNA thake. It is the characteristic of an organism. So length of DNA is the characteristics of an organism. Every organism will have a specific length of DNA. Now coming to the structure of DNA. How we know the structure of DNA, which we always keep drawing na, eneke draw kori thaka. So its structure to amak kune disile. Okay? So the structure of DNA determined koribo karone what was the methods utilized? So the structure of DNA was worked out by James Watson and Francis Crick. These are the two scientists who worked on the structure of DNA. Okay. In the year 1953, and they worked together and gave the double helix model of the DNA. Clear? So both the scientists worked together and they gave the double helix model of DNA based on number one is Chargaff's rule, which is this is very important from NEET point of view and both board point of view. Okay, Chargaff's rule and X-ray diffraction method. Chargaff's rule is very important. So, the structure of DNA was given by Watson and Crick based on these two methods. One is the Chargaff rule and another is the X-ray diffraction method. So, what is the Chargaff rule now? Chargaff rule was given by Erwin Chargaff. This is the scientist who gave the Chargaff's rule, Erwin Chargaff. He formulated the structure of DNA based on the facts that purine and pyrimidine, purine plus pyrimidine, we will study this more details about purine and pyrimidine in our upcoming later part of this lecture. Okay, purine and pyrimidine are always equal in number. So, there are two types of nitrogenous bases. Okay, just now I discussed about the nucleotide. There are two types of nitrogenous bases. One is purine and other is pyrimidine. Under purine, there is adenine and guanine. Under pyrimidine, there is cytosine and thymine. Since we are discussing about DNA, so I am not talking about uracil. Okay. So, nitrogenous bases are of two types. One is purine, other is pyrimidine. Under purine, there are two bases, adenine and guanine, and under pyrimidine, there are two bases, cytosine and thymidine. So, the structure of purine can be purine, it consists of two rings. Purine consists of two rings. It consists of 4 nitrogen groups at position number 1, position number 3, position number 7 and position number 9. Pyrimidine consists of a single ring. Okay. At position number 1 and at position number 3, it will consist of nitrogen. How to remember purine and pyrimidine structure? So, purine, the spelling is short but the structure is double. Pyrimidine, the spelling is long but the structure is only a single 6-membered ring. Whereas it is a 9-membered double ring. It is very important to understand the structure of purine and pyrimidine. Karon jete pisot ami structure discuss korim, jodi etia basic structure to najana jehole pisot relate koribo nwariba. So purine at ki thakibo? Purine is a 9-membered ring. Jot ki thakibo? Nitrogen group side thakibo in position number 1, position number 3, position number 7 and position number 9. Whereas pyrimidine to eta 6-member ring hoy. 6-member ring hoy. Where we will find the nitrogen group at position number 1 and position number 3. Okay. So Erwin Chargaff koisile Like according to Chargaff's rule, there is equal number of purine plus equal number of pyrimidine. That is, according to Chargaff rule, A plus T equal to G plus C. Okay, purine is equal to, amount of purine is equal to amount of pyrimidine. Secondly, the second point under the Chargaff's rule is that amount of adenine is equal to thymine and amount of guanine is equal to cytosine. Okay, this is the second point under the Chargaff's rule. And the third point is that the base ratio, that is A plus T divided by G plus C, is constant for a species, and this helps us in determining how a species is, and from the last point we can determine the species. Okay, so এই তিনিটা পয়েন্টে হল Chargaff's rule আন্ডাৰত that amount of purine is equal to pyrimidine, adenine is equal to thymidine and guanine is equal to cytosine. The base ratio of A plus T divided by G plus C is constant for a species, which give a particular characteristic of a species. Based on this question, based on this phenomenon, there are some numericals. So eta numerical hole X-ray diffraction method to I discuss korim. Let me solve the numerical. Okay, so this is the question in sea urchin. Which is double stranded (17% of bases consist of cytosine. The percentage of other base pairs. We need to find the percentage of other bases. Okay, so we know that 17% consists of cytosine. Okay, and from the Chargaff's rule we know that G equal to C. So if C is 17%, G will be also 17%. So guanine pai golu, then we need to know about amak aru duta base pair lage, that is aru duta base lage, that is about A aru T. And from the first rule ami ki jano G plus C equals to A plus T. So G plus C kiman hobo, 17 plus 17 is equal to 34. 34 equal to A plus T. Okay, तो आमाक individual लगे A plus T आको की है दुईटा same है, both the amounts are same. So 34 equal to आमी की लिखी बपारो twice A लिखी दी बपारो because A equal to T. So 34 divided by 2 is equal to 17. So A will be equal to 17 and T will be also equal to 17. Okay, so this is the okay, I will discuss this question in the next class. Okay, just keep in mind the question or note it down. In sea urchin, which is the double stranded, 17% is cytosine, and the other basis we have to find the percentage. Okay, keep in mind this question. Next class I will discuss this question. Okay. From this part you will get such questions. So we were discussing about X-ray diffraction method. X-ray diffraction method is a technique of determining the structure of a particular molecule based on 3D structure of a particular molecule. Okay, so it was X-ray diffraction method was carried out by Morris Wilkins and Rosalind Franklin. So these are the two methods based on which the structure of the DNA double helix was given. One is the Chargaff's rule, which defined the basic generalization how the structure of the DNA will be, and X-ray diffraction method, which was carried out by Morris Wilkins and Rosalind Franklin, which uses X-rays to determine the 3D structure of a particular molecule. Okay, so these are the two methods, and I will discuss the question in the next class. And I will also give few more questions of such kind. So, double helix model of DNA. It was given by Watson and Crick, and also Wilkins, who studied the X-ray crystallography structure of DNA, got the Nobel Prize in 1962 for the double helix structure of DNA. So Watson, Crick plus Wilkins together got the Nobel Prize for the structure of DNA in the year 1962. So what are the peculiarities or what are the features of the DNA double helix model? We will discuss now. So first feature is that it consists of two polynucleotide chain. Secondly, it consists of backbone of DNA strand. I will discuss all these points in detail. Third point is polarity. Fourth point is anti-parallel strands. And the fifth point is glycosidic and phosphodiester bond. And sixth point is hydrogen bonds. So these are the important features which can be seen in the double helix model of the DNA. Firstly, two polynucleotide chains. We already discussed it will consist of many nucleotide chains. Nucleotide consists of deoxyribose sugar. So this is the phosphate group. Okay. So this will be the phosphate group. Okay, this will be the phosphate group which is connected to the 5' end of the carbon, and this is the nitrogenous base which is connected to the 1' and 1' carbon of the sugar. Simply a nucleotide structure. So nitrogenous base is connected to the sugar at 1' carbon position, whereas the phosphate group is connected to the sugar at 5' carbon position. This is the basic nucleotide structure. Now coming to the polynucleotide chain, there will be two chains of polynucleotide. Along a lot of nucleotides will join. Okay, so it will produce a polynucleotide chain, and there will be two polynucleotide chains. Backbone. Backbone concept will be clear from the diagram. Backbone is formed by deoxyribose sugar plus plus phosphate. Okay, deoxyribose sugar and phosphate forms the backbone of the DNA, and nitrogenous bases lie at the right angle. Nitrogenous bases lie at right angles, that is 90 degree to them. So suppose this is the structure, this is the phosphate group, so they are connected to the this is the phosphate group 5' end, and at the end there will be a free 3' carbon having OH group. Okay, so this is the 5' end consisting of free phosphate group, and this is the 3' end consisting of free OH group. So the polarity here is from 5' to 3'. Okay, so this phosphate group, this is the sugar and this is the nitrogenous base. Similarly, phosphate group, sugar, nitrogenous base. Phosphate group, sugar, nitrogenous base. So this part will form the backbone of the DNA molecule, that is sugar plus deoxyribose sugar plus phosphate forms the backbone of the DNA molecule, and whereas the nitrogenous base will lie at the 90 degree angle to the backbone. Is it clear? So next, coming to the polarity. So from the diagram you can see that there is a free 5' end at the phosphate end, and at the towards the terminal point you will see 3' carbon free end. Okay, so both the strands, one will have from polarity from 5' to 3' and another will have the polarity from 3' to 5'. Both will be polar. Okay. So similarly, you will have another strand having the opposite, that is from 3' to 5'. Anti-parallel strands, that one is both the strands are anti-parallel, both are not in the same direction, that is both are anti-parallel. Okay, complementary base pairing, another point. Glycosidic bond and phosphodiester bond. Okay, glycosidic bond is formed between the this is the phosphate group. This is the nitrogenous base. Okay, so the bond formed between the phosphate group, between the nitrogenous base and the sugar is known as glycosidic bond. So, glycosidic bond is the bond formed between the carbon number 1 of the sugar plus the nitrogenous base. Is it clear? Glycosidic bond is the bond formed between the nitrogenous base and the carbon number 1 of the sugar. Whereas phosphodiester bond is the bond between two adjacent molecules of two adjacent nucleotides bond formed between two adjacent nucleotides of two adjacent sugar. These are the two adjacent sugar. This is sugar 1, this is sugar 2. Molecules at, this is the 3' position and this is the 5' position. With phosphate group, is called phosphodiester bond. So, go to the definition properly. Bond formed between two adjacent nucleotides. This is a nucleotide, this is the another adjacent nucleotide. nucleotides of two adjacent sugar molecules. These are the two adjacent sugar molecules, and the 3' and 5' position with the phosphate group at the 3' and the 5' position of the with the phosphate group. So this is the glycosidic bond. So the board is very messy. I have written down properly in the PDF and drawn properly. So go through the PDF. Okay. So from the PDF you will be able to know proper diagrams. Okay. Just the bond, there are two bonds. Glycosidic bond is formed between the sugar moiety and the nitrogenous base, and various the phosphodiester bond is formed between two adjacent nucleotides of two adjacent sugar molecules at the 3' and 5' position with the phosphate group. Is it clear? Next is complementary base pairing. Complementary base pairing is that always A binds with T and G binds with C. Okay, and there was a point hydrogen bonding. A binds with T with the help of 2 hydrogen bonds, whereas G binds with C with the help of 3 hydrogen bonds. So these are all the features which we have discussed about the DNA double helix. Okay, the first feature was backbone of the DNA, then polarity, then parallel, then glycosidic bond, phosphodiester bond, then the hydrogen bonds. So next class we will discuss details about this topic. If you have any doubt in the last portion, you can just tell me. I will go through the PDF once. If you have any doubt, then just you can message me. I think so after going through the PDF, this part will be cleared. It's a bit messy in the board. Okay. So thank you everyone. ठीक है स्टूडेंट्स लास्ट